So, yeah, Teen Wolf. This episode's entitled Echo House. Uh, Again, full spoilers and all that good stuff. What today's the 24th? Something like that. It's like the 24th or 23rd, one of the two. But it aired on one day, or Moon Day, if you want to be a cool guy like that. But, basically, this episode is, Styles checks himself into basically an asylum or a loony bin because he's afraid of what uh, everybody else. Well, he doesn't want to harm anybody, so he's doing that, and Scott didn't want it to happen because he can't help Styles while he's in there, but Styles doesn't want to hurt anybody, so he checks himself in. And before I get into Styles' story, I'll talk about everybody else's story because it kind of is like the lesser part of the episode. So they're trying to figure out how to save Styles, and basically what they find out is that that they need a scroll. There's a certain scroll that somebody has that they're trying to look for, and they somehow determined that the scroll is in the Katashi, the guy with the silver finger. It's inside his silver finger, but that's in evidence because he was murdered. So they plan to steal it, but I guess it becomes a federal investigation instead of a local one. So they have to steal it from an armored car. So the twins, Scott, Allison, Lydia, and Kira all kind of put together a plan, and it all goes over pretty well. But it turns out that I think his name's Caden, the werewolf that worked for Katashi, wants the silver finger back. So they end up having to fight him to get it, and they get it. And basically, from reading it, they determined that it's that you have to change the body of the uh, of the possessed person. So basically, in a way, Scott seems to at least initially believe that it means turn him into a werewolf, and that was kind of where that ended up off. And then we only see a little bit of Chris Argent and Derek, in which Chris says that he feels sorry for killing Styles, but not sorry for killing a Nagitsune. And so that's basically all that they talked about. They really didn't talk about too much. Now Styles in the loony bin, he meets Malia. Malia's in the loony bin as well. I guess because she's having difficulty because now that she's human, she couldn't tell her dad, "Hey, I'm responsible for the death of the rest of our family." So there's that issue going on, and so Styles just finds out, oh wait, this down below where they're at is the basement of where I was dreaming. So he wants to go down there, but he can't figure it out. So he asks his roommate, and he manages to concoct a plan to try to steal the keys, but he doesn't know how. So he ends up talking to Malia, who is at least at first mad because because Styles and Scott changed her back to a person. Uh, she was at first mad, but I think she gets over it towards the end of the episode. And so basically, the deal is that she Styles takes her to, I guess, Scott to show her how to change back into a coyote, and she helps him get the keys. And basically, the keys don't work, but eventually she does find Styles, and she helps him. Uh, she rescues him because they put him in solitary confinement. The the nurses or whatever put him in solitary confinement, and they sedate him, and then Nagitsune almost takes over, and but she helps him, and they go down into the basement, and they're looking through things, trying to find out what the heck they got to do, and then they have a tender moment, and they kiss, and then I guess they have sex. I assume that's what happened. PG, they can't actually really show too much, but I'm assuming that's what happened, and so there's a bond there now that just, I'll be honest, kind of came out of the blue, but I mean, I don't mind it. I liked it. It was all right. And then but it turns out Styles' roommate has been influenced by the Nogitsune, and so he goes down and he tases both uh, Malia and Styles with the taser that he took off of off of the head nurse, and then he straps him to the table and he prepares to do what's called trepanation, which is trepidation. That's what it is, which is basically where an old practice where they drill holes into your skull to let out the evil spirits. And so he's gonna do that to Malia, and Styles is like, no, don't do it because he doesn't want her to get hurt. And the Gitsune says, hey, let me in, and it won't happen. So reluctantly, Styles lets him in, and then Styles just kind of walks out. Um, yeah, it was, and then Malia ends up going looking for, I guess, Scott after that, because I guess they let her out, which is cool. This episode was cool. There's some really cool things, and there was some weird things. Like easily the weirdest thing was that Miss Morel was in the loony bin, and for whatever reason she was there and she was helping Styles, and she said, don't, whatever you do, don't fall asleep, don't let the Nogitsune get in, and all that good stuff. And so I don't know, it was kind of weird that she was in, but it was interesting. I feel like so in general this episode was really cool. It was, I mean, the whole heist thing with the Scott and the others was kind of cool. And Styles had a lot of good character development, especially toward the end. The last like 10-15 minutes with Malia was like really good character development for him, because he willingly gives himself up to the evil that is Nogitsune in order to just to save her. So it was just really cool. I can't wait to see what happens else with the show. And before I start rambling on too much, I'm gonna end it here. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.